We've reached the point of the offseason where wild trade ideas are being proposed, and it's not a great one for your Dallas Mavericks. Harrison Graham, Jeffrey Cooperstein here. We're going to get into this in a second. I know Coop has strong thoughts about it.
You're underselling it. It is the worst trade idea I think I've ever seen.
I've seen worse, but it's bad.
It's bad. We'll get into it in just a second. But be sure to follow us on Twitter. I'm at Jeff_Coop27. Harrison's at HGrahamNFL. We're always talking Mavs, NFL, college football. We're going to be playing the new game tonight if you guys are hopping on that as well. We're always talking all kinds of sports, so please be sure to follow us on social media over there.
All right, give us a follow. Let's get into the trade idea. Yes, Julius Randle to the Mavericks for P.J. Washington, Daniel Gafford, Jaden Hardy, and 2 second-round picks.
This was my initial reaction. Are you out of your mind? When I saw, if Leon Rose offered this to Nico Harrison, I would hope Nico would block his number. I think this is an embarrassing trade offer on both fronts. I don't think the Mavs want Julius Randle, nor do I think the Knicks want to give up Julius Randle for role players.
Yeah, I mean, look, if I had to pick one team that I think would benefit from this trade, I would pick the Knicks.
Agreed.
The Knicks need another center after losing Isaiah Hartenstein. We know Mitchell Robinson has injury history, so pairing Gafford with Robinson would be nice, and Washington's not as good as Randle, but he could help fill that void as well. For the Mavericks, why would you do this?
Why?
I mean, one, you finally have a center rotation you really like. You would be giving that up. Randle, who, yeah, he's a nice stats player, and he
accumulates good stats.
In the regular season, he's been good. He's never proven to be a good playoff player. Never. At any point in his career.
He is not a winning basketball player. I don't care what you say. He just simply doesn't perform when the lights get bright. He happens to have, especially in that 2021 series, he had more turnovers than he did assists. I mean, he
was horrific in that Hawks series, which I kind of gave him a pass for that just because, like, the Knicks were back in the playoffs for the first time in forever. He was their best player. Like, that was a lot of pressure, but then the next year he was still terrible. I mean, he was super inefficient. He was a little better against Miami, but he's just not. I think this puts it well. He's not a winning player.
I don't think so.
He's kind of a poor man's, different stylistic player, but poor man's Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
In terms of, like, good players, they're going to rack up stats. They're going to be on all-star teams and maybe even some all-NBA teams, which Julius has twice, I believe.
If he's your best player, which he wouldn't obviously be for the Mavericks, I don't even think if he's your second, maybe even third best player, I don't think you win a title. And the main reason I would decline this trade is why would the Mavs sacrifice their key depth guys in Daniel Gafford and P.J. Washington for a guy in Julius Randle who I don't think significantly improves them?
Here's the problem with Randle too, Coop. I think in a perfect world, he could be a really good number 3 on a title team. I don't think he can handle that, though.
Correct.
And that was the issue with Russ for years. Is like, dude, if you would just accept being like a sixth man, like, and he kind of did briefly for the Lakers a couple years ago, it's like, okay, you could play a major role. If Randle would cut down his shots by 30%, commit to playing more defense, and, accept being a 16, 17-point scorer and try to be more of an efficient player than a high-volume number 1 or number 2, I think that could work. I just don't think he's got it in him. I guess we'll see this year with the Knicks because, Brunson's their 1 and, I guess Randall's a better scorer, but I think Bridges is going to be their number 2.
And OG Anunoby as well.
Anunoby's in there, so I would not do this for a variety of reasons. Number one, I don't want to give up Gafford for a player like Julius Randle. Washington, sure, is probably just a worse Randle, but if you're having to give up him and Hardy and picks to go with Gafford, I don't think this makes sense. The Mavericks have finally found a good blend of star power and depth. Why throw that away for a guy who I don't think has the middle capacity to be a number 3 on a title contending team?
And I know Julius Randle's a Dallas native and all that, and the story would be cool, but I'm declining this trade 10 times out of 10. Let us know what you think down in the comment section. Would you type A for accept or D for decline? And let us know your reasoning down there as well.
If the Mavericks do make a trade, we will have you covered with a video, and if it's a trade of this caliber, we'll probably go live. So hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. The road to 30,000 subscribers is underway. Keep us locked in here on Dallas Mavericks Today. All right, let's talk about something that could be a little bit more realistic. Malachi Flynn, Michael Scotto reports that there's interest in him. Dalton Trigg reported about a week ago, too, that the Mavs, I think he said they worked him out. So I guess there's been some interest there. And if that name sounds familiar, it's probably because he had the most random 50-point game in NBA history since our good pal Andre Miller did it against the Mavs about 12 years ago. That was super random. He's kind of a bench scorer who's average efficiency as a player. I don't have strong thoughts here. I mean, you can do worse with your last roster spot, I suppose.
Yeah, we'll talk more about Malachi Flynn in just a minute and maybe what the Mavs could do with him. But be sure to go get your Luka Doncic t-shirt today, courtesy of our friends at Fanatics. Go to chatsports.com/LukaT. All sizes are available for a good price. So if you want a cool Maverick shirt that's pretty cheap as well, we know that those Nike official stuff can get pretty expensive. So if you want something like this, go to chatsports.com/LukaT. We got you covered. That link will be in the comments and the description of today's show. Shout out Fanatics for sponsoring today's video.
I guess one thing Malachi Flynn would provide is he's a decent ball handler. He's not going to create much, but he can at least handle the rock. I mentioned the efficiency. It's not really there.
It's not great.
Low 30s guy. Maybe he's a 35% three-point shooter in this offense.
Played for 3 teams last year as well, and then he ended up with that 50-point game. So he can do it in sort of volume, but that was also at the end of the season against scrubs. So does that really hold any weight?
It was a complete fluke. Let's just be honest. I mean, when you're playing for the Detroit Pistons and at one point in the season you lost 20-something games in a row, at the end of the season, you are playing with no pressure. I mean, at all. So
enjoy Detroit, Timmy.
Yeah, I don't think he'd even crack this rotation.
I don't either.
But again, you don't have to fill this spot with a rotation guy. They might bring back Markieff Morris, and we know he's not going to be in the rotation. So I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't love it. I'd rather get a Dinwiddie or a Dennis Smith or a couple other guys. But
I'm pretty indifferent on it.
Yeah, if they brought him in here, I don't think it really raises the floor or lowers the floor. It's kind of a, hey, he's going to play on load management injury type of nights, and that's probably it. What do you guys think? Would you sign Malachi Flynn, S for sign, or P for pass? I'd rather go in a different direction, but I'm not going to lose sleep over it if they end up bringing him in here.
Agreed. Absolutely. I think it just doesn't really matter either way. He's one of those guys that would be at the end of the bench that wouldn't play unless the Mavs were up or down 30. So hopefully that wouldn't be very often, especially in being down 30 category.
Yeah, exactly. All right. If more rumors populate, we will hit you guys with a video. We're also going to kind of put a wrap on Summer League as well, some winners and losers. Been a rough go in the win-loss column, but there's been some interesting storylines there. A couple of guys have stood out to us, so we'll have that video for you guys Saturday or Sunday, so be on the lookout for that. Until next time, go Mavs. We'll see you soon.